Welcome to From the Ground Up. This podcast is about creating a strong foundation for building a life, a family, a business, and everything that goes into making it last. Let's get into it. Welcome back to From the Ground Up. This is episode 3, and I am excited to have a conversation with Mallory, our lead designer at Evolution. My company is different than most general contracting companies where we call ourselves a design build company. So here, every customer gets assigned a designer to help them bring this project to life. They help them select all the finished materials they need, put the project together, assist in ordering everything. And Mallory has been a key component of growing that division of our company. So Mallory, can you please give us some background?
Absolutely. So I've been a designer for nearly 15 years. I have a degree in architecture, which I find really helped understand, gave me a really good foundation to understand how space works, how things are really put together. So I've used that foundation throughout my career. And I've worked at an interior design firm, very small, and really gave me a really strong understanding of all different project types. And I would call it almost interior architecture is really what I've always worked on, because it's not just, it's not just picking paints and fabrics. It's how, what kind of diverter do you need to make your shower work? How do you build this bench and make sure that it's going to function and that the tile won't flex? Things like that. We're really getting a little bit more than just your typical surface level design elements. So as mentioned, I worked at an interior design firm that did commercial, residential, multifamily, and I got a really great experience there almost 10 years. After that, I went to an architectural firm and learned a whole different aspect of the trade where we were at a much earlier design level, worked on fully commercial projects, everything from really intense healthcare projects that required you to be accurate to the eighth of an inch, or someone's, life was on their hands, for inpatient projects or, behavioral health situations. So the level of intensity was there with every decision. Coming here, I was really excited about being more in the construction field to really take that knowledge of how, we plan in the design world, but how that really comes to be a connection in the real world, in the field, is a totally different conversation. And, there's always been a disconnect. So I'm really excited to be really diving into that and help bridge the gap between the two.
It's funny that you say that, because that's what I preach all the time, that one of my missions in this industry is to bridge these disconnects that happen from the engineers to the architects to the designers to the field to the project managers, to the employees in the field doing the actual work. The disconnects and the knowledge that each one of them has, it does not connect. Nobody speaks the same language.
No, they don't.
Here I'm trying to connect those dots because I think there is a general feeling or understanding of interior designer, which, like you said, here I call them project designers, not just interior designers, because we are helping them with everything from all their plumbing valves to their siding to their roofing. And a lot of our focus here is training in the field to see how all these components go together. And I think you are a much stronger designer when you can understand the construction of something. So I love that you said you want to bridge these gaps, because that's exactly what I do. And I know we're very aligned in that.
Yes. Yeah. The communication between all of them, it's really challenging, and you have to almost put on these different hats. And that's what, we're trying to work on here, I think, with all the other designers in the office, is really trying to put yourself in the perspective of who's actually putting it together, and then in the design phase, it's put yourself in the perspective of the homeowner. You have to really just think about it in not just how you're thinking of it, how everyone else views it.
Yep. No, I love it. So I'm very curious. You are very creative. Everything you come up with, your designs are beautiful. Have you always been creative, or did that develop later in life? And what led you into this field?
Sure. Yes. I would say I was always creative. There's a lot of creative people in my family. Originally wanted to be an artist, but very quickly realized that I did not have that kind of talent. So
That's why your drawings are so good. Your hand drawings.
I've always been drawing, always played with Legos. In fact, I used to, when I was really little, draw these, and I made my sister do it too. She didn't love it as much, but draw these pretty much cross sections of houses, and I design each room inside and, design a room, bedroom, kitchen, whatever. Love doing that. But what really kind of sparked me into the field was we did our own home renovation with a friend of my dad's who was a contractor, and he had a great vision. He understood space, but there was a disconnect. They weren't understanding, by talking to my dad and my parents, really explaining what the vision was that he had, which was more than what I think my parents were really looking to do originally. And so I was the one, I think I was only like maybe 10, and I was the one that was hand drawing it for them to understand. So that was the introduction. And the friend said, "Oh, okay, she has a path here." And so, just ended up following down that. But creativity has always been a part of my world. Even during like my downtime, I just find like problem solving for this or that. Like that's really what creativity is to me, is problem solving, which is really exciting. And, maybe it's that I'm looking to, spruce up a space in my house. But then another thing might be organizing a trip. And I kind of always push things to the next level. I can't really help myself. And you add the perfectionism in there. But yeah, it's definitely in my blood. And it's just the way it always has been.
I love that you use creativity, in all different parts of your life. I feel the same way. I didn't think about it with trip planning.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I feel it does bring out a creative side, because I feel like after I research these random places and come up with cool things and a schedule that is like unique, and that it is really creative, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, you have to imagine where you're going, what's your whole day going to be like, and sometimes you've never even been there. So, yeah, I mean, it's planning, it's creativity, it's all of it. And I think because I always see it, that's the thing is, luckily, I can see everything before it happens, at least a version that, and so in my head, it's just very visual, and so I just use that in everything.
I like that. Is there another creative outlet in your life outside of work? And how does it feed into your design?
Yeah. So speaking more to that, I've even done a couple of separate projects, I would call them, where, I kind of wanted to dip my toe into maybe my own business or this or that, but I never wanted to fully commit. The design world's always been such a big commitment and time. And I just think I was always curious, like, would I ever want to own my own firm or my own business? I don't even know if I'd want that responsibility. So there was a point where a few years back, I think it was actually right when COVID hit, I decided it was like a shower thought that I had for probably 6 or 9 months. And I just one day said to my husband, I need to start like a photo shoot business. And the idea behind it was, we just had my son. I wanted more financial flexibility, I think, just to know that I had some more financial control over my choices, and that, if I needed to pivot, I could. And so out of nothing, I have no photography background, nothing. I just decided to create a photo studio, and it was a selfie studio. And I just figured out how to do all the backdrops and everything. It ended up being more like set design. People would come onto the sets, and they were very 3D. They weren't just, a backdrop. They were thought for the kids. It was like every single detail was thought of, like, well, how are we going to get the kids to like take this photo? Maybe they're fussy. I had things to eat, part of the props. The idea was, well, I'm a family that has a limited budget, but I want nice photos. And how do you break the mold of that? And what are other options? And so, it ended up going really well, but I pulled back because I just found that, long term, I didn't want to do 2 full jobs. It was a good creative outlet. And it was really fun.
Well, what I hear from you is 2 things. One, that you found your passion in life, which I think is so important. And I encourage everybody to go after whatever makes them happy in any aspect of life. that photo studio, like you said, you had zero experience.
Mhm.
So I think that is such a common theme amongst people who have found their passion, is that they are not afraid to try something, and they're not afraid to fail,
Mhm.
and they're not afraid to do it even though they have no experience. They go for it and then they learn as they go, which is exciting.
Right.
But I think that that stops so many people.
Mhm.
And I love that story and what you just told, because your passion comes out and you tried something that you had zero experience with. And I love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was to answer a bigger question. And I just felt like it by breaking it down to something that felt more manageable. And the bigger question was, would I ever want to own my own design firm? Do I ever want to be a boss? Do I ever want that responsibility 24/7? And at the time, I had, I think, a 9-month-old. And I think it was actually driving me even more to want to make sure that, my husband and I as a unit could provide everything we really wanted financially for my son. And it really just kind of hit me into high drive in terms of having that control and not just letting, a boss determine my, financial future. But I was careful as to how much time that could be given, and conflict of interest and all this stuff. And I really didn't want to just do interior design 24/7. To me, I loved the idea of trying something new and what that would bring. And it felt like it would be a simpler, easier option. It ended up being like learning everything and a whole different experience, but it let me go from, my day job to after, and I just kept going, and I just broke it up and what the goals were for year 1 versus the year 3. It didn't look anything the same, and I was really proud of it. It was hard to walk away from, but in the end, I learned what I wanted, which, I could do it. And that was all I really needed to know. And it wasn't necessarily that I needed to do it forever. The hardest thing for me as a perfectionist has always been, well, if I do this, this is forever. Whether that's putting wallpaper on a wall, whether that's, anything kind of interior design related or big picture, like, do I want to change careers? It's, well, is it really a forever question, or is it, what is it? Is a 5-year question? Is it a 1-year question? And like breaking it up that way, I find as to not be so debilitating. And then, okay, well, it is worth the cost or the risk for this number of years, and then we can make a decision. And then it just makes it less overwhelming.
Again, I think that it's never too late in life to make a career change and try different things. So you did mention you had a 9-month-old, you were working 2 jobs, and that segues me into my next question about, we grew up hearing we could have it all. What does that phrase actually mean now, and has your definition changed?
Yeah, that's the hard question, obviously. What it looked like before kids is absolutely not what it is after, because before kids, it's the vision, and you can't understand motherhood or parenting until you're in it. It challenges you in a way that is, you can't explain it until you experience it, because it's not just hard. It's also that love that's there, and it's that pull in both directions all the time. That's been the hardest challenge of my 30s, to be honest, is wanting to have it all, being a perfectionist and pushing and pushing and pushing myself. But then realizing that my body has limitations, my family needs me to, and that balance is really hard to keep. So figuring out where you're able to compromise is really, I find it very challenging. I don't think it's a simple thing. And I know I do struggle with the guilt that, when you're not there and what you can be there for. So I do try and just make it, when I am with my family, that it is enjoyable, that every weekend we're doing something fun. It can't just be serious all the time. It's too hard to keep going every day, every week, every month. So I try and push that, there has to be lightness with the heaviness, and I do get the passion from work that drives me, and I really can just you know, I am a workhorse. I can just push. I don't know where that comes from. Other than the passion, I think is really where it is. But the idea of having it all, I think after having my second really started to change that. You can, but you have to pick what all is.
Yes.
It can't actually be everything. You have to start narrowing down the priorities and make sure you're okay with what you're putting your energy into. That's my
If you're okay with it, then keep going.
Right.
With whatever you choose.
Yes. The other advice I had gotten, which I think was hard to come to terms with, was you really can't physically do it all, but maybe you can get the help in the right ways. So we have someone that comes on Sundays and helps me do things in the house that for a long time I couldn't imagine, you know, my kids are in daycare Monday through Friday. Do I really need someone coming in the house? Like, why am I not enough to be able to do something like that? And it's nothing to do with me, but I need that extra time for, you know, several different things. And then this other person comes, she's great and she spends time with my kids and she's more present with them. And then when we're all done with all those things, then we are all present with each other. And I just found like it was really hard to get to that place to be able to do it. And but now that it's routine and everybody's used to it, I'm so much more comfortable with it. And I'm so happy that I let my guard down to it's hard to let someone in your home. I'm used to bringing my kids to daycare. There's a separation there, but having someone in your home and being comfortable with that, it's very personal and it's hard to let people see all of your imperfections or whatever, your rawness. I know you understand.
I understand that firsthand. My house, my life is an open book and I am very real. This is what you see is what you get. I am a very hard worker and I do have very big visions for a lot of things. And for me, I had to think differently and think out of the box to be able to buy myself time to do more of what I wanted. So same thing with you. I did not grow up with somebody in my house, a babysitter. I didn't grow up with daycare. I didn't grow up with any, like me and my brothers and sisters, I didn't grow up with any of that. But I did the same thing. I brought somebody into my home to help. And especially being a single mom, it's helped tremendously. And now that, like you said, I mean, it's been for me like 3 years now, but having that person in my home, yeah, it's different. It's definitely another family member and they do see everything, but everybody has their stuff. Life is not easy, but bringing in outside help to get you to this next level of happiness, then I'm all about it. I'm all for it. So I totally get it.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever felt like you were succeeding in one part of life while falling short in another?
Absolutely. I think every day.
Yeah. I feel it's like a roller coaster.
I think it goes back to, can you have it all? And it's that balance that, you know, a friend of mine said famously, like, it's the spinning plates, you know, and that goes for while I'm at work and the specific projects that we're working on, but it goes for like my family plate, my house, you know, making sure the house is cleaned and this and that, and the yard's taken care of, this, and then it goes and work, and this came up, that came up, and it's the kids are sick. It's constantly spinning and, you know, trying not to let them all drop, but, you know, it's an impossible task to make sure that everything is being exactly monitored at the same time. And, you know, especially with 2 kids going 2 different directions. So it's just, it's definitely hard to balance that, but you do the best you can.
Exactly. That's it. That's all we could do is do the best we can. And you said and have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. Bring the lightness. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true. I try to have fun.
Yeah. Not to say that we don't have serious times, obviously, but even dinner, we're really strict about dinner time. And like, sometimes it's the only time I really see the kids. So, you know, I get one at bedtime. My husband does the other. So it might be the only time I see both of them. So taking moments where you can. It doesn't always have to be a big deal. It really really doesn't.
The little things.
Yes.
Really, they get a kick out of.
Right. Drawing a picture. My son and I also he has the eye for this. So sometimes, I've sketched at home for different things, and he's right there, and he wants to understand what I'm doing. He wants to maybe draw his own building. I mean,
Do you see any interest in the construction world from your kids yet?
oh yeah.
Yeah?
My husband and I are convinced that the 6-year-old is headed for engineering. I think I want to say 3.5, 4, was coming to the realization of understanding on his own where that the power poles provide electricity to the city. Just on these conversations he would come up. Where does this pipe go? Like, where's the water going? He asks these kinds of questions all the time. So my husband has that engineer's mind. So I think and then he has my creativity side too. So he's destined for it. We don't try and push it because it's a hard world to be in. But it's natural for him.
Well, I'm glad. You may not push it, and I agree with, I don't want to push anything on anybody, but I do want to bring awareness to the construction industry to more people and more young people, because it is a great avenue to pursue. If you have an interest in it or you're looking for a career, it is a great industry to be in. There's so much opportunity, and it isn't your typical desk job.
No.
So for people who are looking for, excitement and just something different really every day, you can get that out of construction. You can get so much out of the construction world. And whether it's from working in the field or architecture or engineering or design, there's so many components, surveying. There's so many components to construction that you could pursue, that I really hope that younger people will start to explore careers in this construction world, because with AI, a lot of traditional jobs are going to disappear.
Yeah.
So construction will not disappear ever. And there is such a need for it. And we need more younger people in the industry. So
Definitely.
I love that, your kids, you see it in them. I love that.
For sure. I mean, the baby's too little,
Yes.
but my 6-year-old, he's definitely got that creative eye. And I think more than anything, wherever you end up, but the training you get from construction and design, it's problem solving. That's why I could take what I'm doing in marketing. It's just understanding what the question is. You could take that to any career, any field. They all need problem solving, whether it's math or building. It doesn't matter.
No, I agree. And problem solve in real life, we need to problem solve.
Yeah.
So it's a very good quality to have, and quicker decision making, because in construction, we need to solve these problems quickly.
Right.
So it's a great skill to have also. So I like that a lot. What do you hope your kids learn from watching you work, not from what you tell them?
Yeah. So having 2 boys, I personally want to be an example of a strong woman. I think that it's really important for them to see that, and that they can get comfortable with it and respect it.
I like that.
I think that, there hasn't always been that example. And it's becoming more and more common. There was a question, I think, a while back from my youngest. He assumed I worked for a man. And I actually said, well, why do you think that? I don't even know where that comes from. He's so young. And I just made sure to women are just as capable, and mommy can, tell people how to do things. And so I try and make sure that he understands to respect, anybody can do these things. It's just these interesting notions that people have so early in life. And my household's very, I would say, as equal as it can be. I mean, I do think mothers always take on more. It's inevitable. And that's okay. Our brains work differently and all that. But, I'm probably the stronger voice in the house, and my husband cooks, and I don't really cook in the house. So we're not exactly that typical
Like that.
family household and even then he still has that preconceived notion that it would be a man. So I try and correct that and make him understand that mommy makes a lot of hard decisions, and she goes, I love telling him I go to a construction site, which he loves. But for him to know that girls can do it too. It's not just guys. And there's other things that come up. And I just like to show him that I think, anybody can do anything.
I agree with that. Yeah, I can relate to that in so many ways,
Yeah.
obviously, also. Because, yeah, I've always been a strong willed, strong woman, and I've always been in a male dominated industry like
Right.
you. And yeah, I've been able to hold my own and rise above and get to this level where I am, which I think is a pretty high level. I want to
Absolutely.
be a hell of a lot higher. I want, a lot more. We're at 28 employees now. I want to be at 100 employees by the end of next year. So, yeah, I have big visions for, what I've created here, but I do think that some people have an issue with a strong woman, which
Mhm.
they shouldn't, but I get that a lot.
Mhm.
But that's okay. That's when you just keep it's okay if you have a smaller circle that respects you, and that's it. Keep the people who support you and respect you
Mhm.
close, and you just keep going, keep doing your thing. It is your own life. I think independence is a very important skill to teach young people. I teach my girls
Mm.
independence. They are 9 and 10, and they own that Google Calendar like no other.
Yeah.
They run it like adults, but because they both, look at it, they have cell phones,
Mhm.
or one has a cell phone, one has an iPad, but they are in that Google Calendar. They understand timing, where we have to be. I like that. I want them to be independent. I don't want them to have to rely on me. The ultimate goal is to get them
Correct.
to be independent on their own. So I think it's a great quality to teach.
Yes.
I have so much more I want to talk to you about, but we have to wrap it up for this episode. So I feel like Oprah right now, but we're going to have you back on the show again
Great. I'd be
because
honored.
you are a great example of a successful woman in the construction industry. And like I said, I have so much more to talk to you about, but
Awesome.
we're going to end it with our question that we ask all of our guests because I think it's very important to live a purposeful life and have goals. And I'm very curious about, what are you building this week, this month, or this year?
So I would say this year has been probably the most transformative year I've had yet. It was shortly after the baby came, and I think, like I've mentioned before, I've always had that drive. That's never been the problem, or tapping into it. I think what I learned this year was actually learning how to slow down and start to take care of myself and make sure that I'm doing that. So with all that, I think, this year is, as a goal, has been to just like self-care and let go of what's not working and refocus to make sure that, it is working for me. I'm allowed to have something work both sides of the table, and nourish that and make sure that everybody's, kind of happy with how that goes. So that's been, it's been a wild year, and I'm very excited to, even be at the seat. It's very exciting.
I'm I am so happy that, because people have always told me that I'm too much. And I'm happy that this person that was told that they're too much has calmed your nervous system being here. Because I say, I might be crazy, but I swear it's good crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It just because I am passionate and have all these ideas, I think it's good. And I'm just super happy to hear, that I'm a part of your feeling better in this year of your life. And I'm very happy to be a part of that.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming and spending this time with me.
Absolutely. It was my honor.
Thank you.